is hungry for right now.
You told Men's Vogue magazine that if you wanted to be president, you shouldn't just think about being president, that you should want to be a great president. So you've clearly given this some thought.
Yes.
And what would, in your mind, define a great president?
Obviously, most of the time it seems the president has maybe 10% of his agenda set by himself and 90% of it set by circumstances. So, an Abraham Lincoln is defined by slavery and the war. FDR defined by the Depression and World War II. So I'm not sure that I can categorize what are those ingredients in each and every circumstance, but I think when I think about great presidents, I think about those who transform how we think about ourselves as a country in fundamental ways, so that at the end of their tenure, we have looked and said to us, that's who we are. And for me at least, that means that we have a more expansive view of our democracy, that we've included more people into the bounty of this country. And there are circumstances in which I would argue Ronald Reagan was a very successful president, even though I did not agree with him on many issues, partly because at the end of his presidency, people, I think, said, you know what, we can regain our greatness. Individual responsibility and personal responsibility are important, and they transformed the culture and not simply promoted one or two particular issues.
The last Democratic president, Bill Clinton, said this: Barack Obama, who he thinks has the intelligence and the toughness necessary to be president, but has to be careful about running too soon. Is that a fair comment?
I think it's a fair comment, absolutely.
Do you think President Clinton has some self-interest in making that comment?
Well, I don't know how the president's thinking. I'm a big admirer of Bill Clinton's work. I think that the one thing I'm clear about in terms of the presidency is it can't be something that you pursue on the basis of vanity and ambition. I think there's a certain soberness and seriousness required when you think about that office that is unique. And at some point, the bargain you're making with the American people is that you put me in this office and my problems are not relevant. My job is to think about your problems. And so anybody, I think, who's pursuing it has to understand the gravity of it and make sure that the reason they want to do it is not simply because they want to see their name in the headlines.
You've been a United States Senator less than 2 years. You don't have any executive experience. Are you ready to be president?
Well, I'm not sure anybody is ready to be president before they're president. Ultimately, I trust the judgment of the American people that in any election they sort it through. And that's, we have a long and rigorous process, and should I decide to run, if I ever did decide to run, I'm confident that I'd be run through the paces pretty good, including on Meet the Press.
Well, 9 months ago, you were on this program, and I asked you about running for president. And let's watch and come back and talk about it. When we talked back in November of 2004, after your election, I said there's been enormous speculation about your political future. Will you serve your full 6-year term as United States Senator from Illinois? Obama, absolutely.
I will serve out my full 6-year term. Tim, if you get asked enough, sooner or later you get weary, and you start looking for new ways of saying things. But my thinking has not changed.
But so you will not run for president or vice president in 2008? I
will not.
You will not?
Well, that is how I was thinking at that time. And I don't want to be coy about this, given the responses that I've been getting over the last several months. I have thought about the possibility, but I have not thought about it with the seriousness and depth that I think is required. My main focus right now is in 2006 and making sure that we retake the Congress. After November 7th, I'll sit down and consider it. And If at some point I change my mind, I will make a public announcement, and everybody will be able to go at me.
But it's fair to say you're thinking about running for president in 2008.
It's fair, yes.
And so when you said to me in January, I will not, that statement is no longer operative.
I would say that I am still at the point where I have not made a decision to pursue higher office, but it is true that I have thought about it over the last several months.
So it sounds as if the door has opened a bit.
A bit.